Let's do a walkthrough of the Wally robot control system I built called DroidDeck. Firstly, why'd I build it? I'd been working on another project which was this BDX droid, and for the controller for that I was going to use a Steam Deck, so why not use the same Steam Deck to work on the Wally animatronic I was building? I also wanted to do something different, and as much as there's different ways that you can solve any problem, this was one where I wanted to do something different around the software side, something unique that was my contribution to the wider Wally Builder group. And then lastly, it was a bit of an experiment about vibe coding. I use AI quite a lot through work. I'm involved in the IT industry. I am a coder. I do have coding skills, but I was not trying to use that or try to avoid using it as much as possible. I just wanted to go, how far could I go with just a prompt, a basic plan, none of the Claude co-work, not even GitHub Copilot, just a basic plan. How far could I go writing code without actually having to write code? The reality was it was a long way. There was definitely a few places I had to help out, but I could go a long way with it. It's crazy how far I can go now. We'll talk about the physical components that make it up. So as part of the Wally, the main heart of it is this Raspberry Pi 5. This is where I've got all the controls and the main backend logic sits in it. It's connected to a USB dongle that goes to an amplifier for the audio system. There's the ADS 1115 and current sensor. So that's a analog to digital converter. So that's where my effectively voltage, there's a divider circuit, and also the current sensors are connected to. I have two Pololu Maestros. In my case, I went 24 channel just because I had some spare 24s, but pretty much 12 channel or more would be more than enough. I also had a Sabertooth 2X20, sorry, 2X60 for the tracks, a TB6600 and a NEMA 23 for the gantry movement, a limit switch to control it. So when I hit the homing button, I want to make sure that we know where the home position is. And then obviously the Steam Deck, a web and Bluetooth interface for alternate devices, and also an ESP32 cam, which are mounted between the two eyes and the head portion. From a software architecture, the front end runs Python, so it's got a front end is PyQt6 app. There is a web interface that I've built and a Bluetooth interface, so you don't have to use a Steam Deck. I've not been actively maintaining the web interface and Bluetooth. It should still mostly work if you want to use it and use a different device, maybe like an iPad or a small device connected to a Bluetooth controller. You absolutely could. You'd probably need to do a little bit of extension to make it work, but at last time I tested it, it was working. My focus at this point is very much on the PyQt6 app. The back end, again, Python again, has a number of different modules that it make up. There's a main scene engine that handles the animation flows. The motion mixer handles the animation and blending of joystick with the scene animations. A hardware service has multiple components around audio, serial control, and controller inputs and mapping, and then telemetry system to send through information to the Steam Deck device or the web front end, showing things like voltage, temperature, CPU utilization, network stats, everything. So you can kind of like have a Fitbit for Wally and have it visible on the device you're controlling from. There's a camera proxy. So for the ESP32, Wi-Fi on them kind of sucks. So I'm routing that through the Raspberry Pi. So effectively, the ESP32 connects to the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi has the Steam Get connect to it as well, and it acts as the proxy in between. And then some logic around importing Bottango animation scripts, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And we talked about the other hardware on the back end, but that main part is that those are kind of the modules or the summary of the key modules that make it up. Interface, we mentioned both the Steam Deck version, so the Python front end, and also a web. So on the left, this is the PyQt6 version. On the right, it's just the web interface component from there as well. Front end screen. So this is the home screen. This is where you do most of your controlling from. At the top, effectively, it has these scene categories. So it's a collection of scenes or a collection of either sounds or animations, and you can select what type of emotion that you think Wally wants to have. and you can select it with a D-pad and select it with a button on the controller. And you can choose to go either sequential, random, or just use the D-pad to navigate. And there is an idle function, which I'll talk about a little bit later. All screens have a fail-safe button as well. The camera screen, you'll see on here, I'm doing a bit of gesture detection on the camera feed that comes through. In this case, it can detect whether or not you're raising your arm and waving, and in this case, it will right arm wave detected, and it will wave back at you. Health screens all the telemetry information, so again, CPU, memory, temperature, current for left and right tracks, and the whole overall electronics and the voltage. Um, on the Steam Deck version as well, there's also the voltage of the Steam Deck as well that's shown in this little blank area here, which you won't see because I'm running locally on a laptop. The server configuration screen, you can set your minimum, your maximum position, your home positions as well if you want it to calculate from that being the home position, and you can name each of the devices. It has separate controls for both the Maestro 1 and Maestro 2, and also the NEMA controls, so you can set the toggle places, so how far you want the NEMA gantry to move between position 1 and position 2. The controller screen, there's a whole lot of logic that goes into here. So this is where you can map your joystick buttons, your normal buttons, your trigger buttons. You could map it to differential tracks, direct servo control, multi-servo control, toggle scenes, toggle positions. I built a whole lot of logic for the different combinations. So if you want to kind of have multiple things pinned to one button, you absolutely can. Um, then kind of getting towards the end nearly, this is the scene screen. So you saw on that first home screen where it would have the scene categories and then the scenes. This is the where you define the scene. So in this case, there's one here called Quick Excel. There's a audio clip that goes with it. And you can also select the script button and choose from a drop down of preloaded Bottango animations as well. And if you want, you can also put in a delay between the audio and the animation, so it makes sure that the two are in sync. Lucky last is effectively the setting screen. It's pretty much you do it once when you set it up, but there is a volume button up and down. So if you're moving between noisy and quiet environments, you can definitely use that to control it. I showed a little bit earlier around the motion detection piece. So this is a bit about the logic behind it. There's an ESP32 cam that connects back to the Raspberry Pi via a proxy app that then is pumped out through to the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck runs this MediaPipe pose detection, and it's detecting things like hand waving, raising your arms. In this case, I've got a right hand wave, both hands up in the air, and a left hand wave. And then when it detects it, it will send a back end event. And you can adjust the sensitivity of how much it detects you, and also the stand down period, because you don't want it to continuously be waving to people as if it was having some kind of fit. I also talked about Bottango. I started out using Maestro scripts. I'll talk about them a little bit in a little bit, but I moved on to using Bottango. It is a great application. You 3D model the Wally itself, and I've created a 3D Bottango model as well for it. I put all the servos into it, and you rig it up so you can kind of drag and drop the arms and eyes and neck movements to positions that you want to. And it basically has this timeline editor where you create these keyframes and you can move the positions at the different sequence. And you can make these nice smooth curves. You can even import a video clip in the background, and then you can map the movement by frame so that your movement matches that of the video. So if you want to get real like video quality type movement, then that's how you can do it. So as long as the movement's not faster than the servos can move, then you could use the Bottango animation to try and replicate that same smooth styling and movement. Uh, Also pointing out free to use as well. There's plenty of options for it. It certainly wasn't designed for what I'm using it for, but it does have an option of being able to export the animation out to a JSON format, and that's what I'm using to import all of those keyframes and curve moves, and I'm porting that into my application and then rebuilding the movements on top of it. So why Bottango and the DroidDeck versus Maestro scripting? Look, I started with Maestro scripting Big problem I get really quickly. I run out of flash storage. There's only a small amount of memory available to store scripts, so there's not that many scripts that you can create. I kept on hitting that as a limit. So being on a Raspberry Pi and just sending serial commands, I'm pretty much unlimited. I find the Maestro, the programming side, you basically move each frame that you do, move the servos, save your frame, export the code, modify the code because it's not quite in the right format for serial commands. Um, it's okay. It's great if you've got like a simple animation that you're trying to do, or like one or two animations. But for my Wally project, I'm probably going to do 50, 60 different animations, some of them more complex. So that meant going over to the right-hand side with Bottango visual animation editing, that unlimited memory, being able to do multi-layer and blending, so much easier for me. Kind of the process is straightforward. You animate Bottango, you save the animation, give it a name, then you export it as a JSON file. You copy it across to the Raspberry Pi. So there's a Samba folder that's created, which you can connect up to, copy your file across, drop it in the Bottango import folder, and then next time the DroidDeck software runs, it'll go through, do an automatic conversion of it into the right format, and then from then you're then able to select that animation, Bottango animation, as a scene script. The hard part, motion mixing and layering. So this is motion layer compositing, or I got it to try and describe what was the engine that we built, and it said it's a layered animation blending system with additive compositing, priority-based channel masking, and real-time procedural override. Or it blends stuff together. That's the simple part. So this is a little bit around how we've got it. The bottom layer, most importantly, joystick layer, we want to be able to move that head and have independent control. At the top layer is scene. So when I play a scene, often your scene will have a starting point and an end point, often the home position. But maybe you don't want that scene to play from the home position. Maybe you've got a person standing to your right, so you want to turn the head to the right and play the scene. So this is where blending kicks in. We want to blend the joystick layer with the scene layer. So you could basically do the scene, but turn it to the right with a joystick layer. Pretty cool. But complex, not overly complex. A lot of logic around just making sure you haven't overextended the servos beyond where they should go. You also want to blend in the movement as the scene starts and ends so that there's no sudden jerk that goes between whatever your joystick movement was and any movement back to a home position. And on the exiting as well, you want that movement to be smooth. So a bit of work around trying to get that set up, but that was working lovely. And then the piece I love the most is this idle layer piece. This to me is the bit that gives the animation and character to it. So for me, when Wally's sitting there on his own, he looks very static. He might have a few lights blinking, but unless you're doing the joystick or playing a scene, he's not moving. You could create something that does a little idle task and then fires off one of the scenes every X number of seconds or minutes. But what I was looking for was something that gave him some small movement, some character. So things like breathing. And by breathing, it might be just a little neck movement up and down and head tilt up and down every 4 seconds, about the rate of a slow breathing in and out. And he would just have this little subtle character, maybe even moving the head left and right. So that's what that idle layer is. But now I've got this idle layer, I want to be able to use the idle layer with the joystick. So maybe I just want to move the head left and right with the joystick while it's still doing this little nodding up and down, slow breathing movement. And then lastly, I could throw a scene on top. So if you want him to always look like he's breathing, you could use the joystick. You could have this breathing idle layer, and you could have a scene playing over the top. So really quite powerful, really can bring the character to life. Lucky last, the most exciting part of all, what happens when things go wrong? It's fail-safe. At some point, something's going to happen, and this is where you got to code for it. There are a number of different things. The first thing is, by default, when it starts up, everything's in a fail-safe mode. All the motors are off. When you turn a fail-safe off, it will home the NEMA 23 motors, find the new home position, and you'll start to have control after that. The Maestro on the right, there's a script that runs on the Pi. Pi sends a signal every few milliseconds or hundreds of milliseconds through to the Maestro, changing an unused servo field. And the Maestro has a script that's just continuously checking to go, has this been updated in the last X milliseconds? And if it hasn't, then it goes, I've lost connectivity back to the Raspberry Pi, and I'm going to center the tracks and it stop it moving. The front end also has disconnection detection. So if the Raspberry Pi detects we've lost connectivity through the front end, again, it'll shut down the track. So within pretty much less than a second, it will detect that something's gone wrong and turn the tracks off, rather than Wally going careering into a person or into a wall or a desk or a table. Now, those are great. There's multi-layers of failsafe there, but there's always a physical one on the back of Wally. Under the compacted door, which is lifted up by magnets, is a physical circuit breaker, and it's pressing the circuit breaker button, and that will turn the full power off to the whole Wally. Look, that's it for today. That's a bit of an overview around all the different modules and how they all work together, and a little bit around the Bottango import piece that went with it. If you've got any questions, chuck them in the chat below. You can find me on the Wally Builders group in Facebook, and there's also a Wally Builders forum online as well. So check those out. If you've got questions, you're welcome to either drop them below or come ask them in one of the channels that are there. There's been a lot of publicity recently with Adam Savage on Tested doing an interview with one of the Wally builders for his character. So there's lots of interest right now. So just thought I would share up my own progress on this same journey. Thanks for your time. Cheers.